Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to WBE Season 3, Week 7 Heat of the Week. My name is Chris Kobain, and I am not going to lie to you guys, this week is rough. It's just rough. So, let me start everything by saying, as a truck goes outside my house, let me start this by saying that, nothing about this is going to be a slight or anything of the sort towards any of the coaches of the WBE by any stretch of the imagination. Each and every coach in this league is playing to win the game. They're playing to get as many wins as possible, get the best differential they can, make the playoffs, ultimately, keep playing the game. And that's not always going to translate to a ton of heat from each individual coach. It's just the way it goes. Sometimes running normal or standard sets is exactly what you need to do to win the game, because that's what each Pokemon's good at. They're standard stuff. That's why they're standard. So, in a lot of cases, that's just the way it ends up being. And that was kind of the theme for the week. Last week, we had an absolute ton of heat. I had a lot to choose from. There was a struggle to pick the 6 that made it. This week, it was a struggle to get 6. Like, honestly, this was a really, really, really hard list to put together. So, this is part of the struggle of making these videos, I signed up for it, and it's up to me to scour all the matches each week and come up with 6 for the list. And honestly, this week I debated for quite a bit to not even get 6 on this list, because I just didn't think there were enough. To be honest with you guys, it was just that week. It was that kind of week. There was just so few actual heat sets going around. In fact, I would say that there were honestly no actually straight up 100% pure heat sets we've seen in the past. Like for instance, like the Jirachi. I bring that up I brought that up quite a lot, but this is the one that keeps coming to my head. Or like Joe's Alomola last week. Like, just absolutely amazing sets like that. There was honestly just none of them this week. Everything I came up with, all the 6 are heat in one way or another, but none of them are full on. And that's just the way it's got to be. So I ask you guys a favor this week to just lower your standards on what you consider super duper heat at this point, because it was really hard. If you've seen the matches this week, if you were able to go through and watch the matches, you'll see what I mean. You'll know what I'm talking about. It was rough. I had to message a few coaches and get a help from a couple of the analysts to get sets from coaches that were never seen. Which you'll see what I mean. Number 6, you'll see that immediately. Sets where I personally would have no way to know that it was even interesting. I had to ask for that kind of help from people who built teams or helped build teams or came up with sets for the week, that come in and be like, hey, here's here's what I did. It didn't get to do anything, blah, 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 but here you go. And that's exactly what this is. So, you'll see what I'm talking about real quick. Number 6. So let's get into it this week with number 6. And it's going to be Golbat this week, coming in from Patty Trails and his Sin City Scizors, going up against Elliott and his Chicago Cub Shoes, excuse me. And this is exactly, literally what I'm talking about. I'm going to have to apologize for this real quick. There's not going to be a video. There's not going to be a little gameplay snippet that I put typically, because literally this Golbat didn't see the field. That is literally what we're working with this week, okay? I'm not kidding you. This isn't like a, holy crap, Chris, how did you put this Pokemon on it? It didn't even see the field. What's wrong with you? Literally, there was nothing else to put. That's how far we had to stretch. And a shout out to the analysts for helping me with this one, because I never would have seen it. So, and honestly, the set's not even that crazy. It's just crazy enough for me to have an excuse, I felt, to even get it on the list. Because if I didn't, this list literally would have been 5 Pokemon. This is where I stretched to get 6. So let's get into it. It's Infiltrator, which ignores sub, obviously. It's Charty Berry. That is all of the heat on this set. Every single bit of it, 100%, is all put into the item alone. We'll get to that in a second. 244 HP and 252 defense with the Impish. Basically, it's just max defense. Brave Bird, Defog, Roost, U-turn. That is standard as standard could be. The entire reason that this is on the list, well, first of all, is so I could get 6 on the list. And 2, is because of that Charty Berry. So the Charty Berry is going to be cutting down on super effective rock-based damage, okay? And the reason that he's running this as opposed to your standard Eviolite, which is what Golbat would normally run, is to stifle a potential sweep from Elliot's insane Scolipede. Scolipede, a massive sweeper, everyone knows it. Speed boost, Swords Dance, all those move coverage you get. This thing is actually really cool. I ran calcs because when I got the set at first, I was a little confused. I was like, does this even make a difference compared to like a relevant difference? Like obviously it will cut down on damage more than the Eviolite would, but would it cut down to a degree that actually this item even matters? Would the Eviolite make more sense? No, actually the Charty Berry is really, really clever because with the Charty Berry, get this Golbat can live a +2 Z Rock Slide from Scolipede after rocks. He can live it. I think the calc said the maximum damage it did was like just over 76%, like 76.1. So there was like a really small, minuscule chance it killed, but there was like a 90% chance that the Golbat straight up lived +2 Z Rock Slide from the Scolipede after the Stealth Rock damage and was able to counter back and kill with Brave Bird. That's which obviously would effectively end the sweep. That literally is the whole reason this is on the list. Again, I don't think it saw the field. I don't recall if it did. It didn't do anything. But I don't even think it saw the field. There you go. Elliot ended up not bringing Scolipede at all, which is why this really didn't see anything. I would take it that Elliot was really scared of defensive Landorus and Ferrothorn with chip damage and Rocky Helmet and blah, 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 that kind of stuff to bring the Scolipede. But Patty had it set up to, even if he did, it wasn't going to be that big a deal. He could trade off, switch in on the Swords Dance, blah. There you go. That's number 6, okay? This is what I'm talking about, all right? This is what I'm talking about. So, going into number 5 this week, we have Uxie. And I'm pretty sure this is the second week in a row Uxie's made it. I'm pretty sure he made it last week as well for the Magic Coat set. I think it was Uxie. It was one of the Lake Trio, but I'm pretty sure it was Uxie. But this is coming in from Uzi Gunner and his Bullet Punch Club going up against, I believe, Fanatax and the Atlanta Umbreons. This one's a better set in terms of heat, like the heat itself. We're going Levitate, Assault Vest, which is cool. Uxie is more of like a statusy lead type mon, Thunder Wave, stuff like that. So it's cool to see it running Assault Vest. 248 HP, 152 attack, 108 special defense with that sassy nature was going to raise its special defense and lower its speed because of this mixed set, sorta. Iron Tail, Hidden Power Fires, it's one special attack, U-turn, and knockoff this week for the Uxie. So the Iron Tail is a super base to be able to dominate the Mega Gardevoir on Fanatac's side, while Hidden Power Fire is being run for both Fortress and Durant at the same time. Just on the chance that the Durant was choiced, obviously locked into something that wasn't X-Scissor. I believe it was choiced this week, but Uxie ended up getting bopped by X-Scissor anyway on a switch. Faint made a good prediction. X-Scissor beat the Uxie. So, I like this set. I do like this set a lot. I do love the idea of the Assault Vest to be able to take on, switch in, and then defeat the Gardevoir, because I actually had literally no clue that Uxie even got Iron Tail. That was news to me when I saw it. So as Fanatac's going up against this thing, you hit it with a Hyper Voice. You think, oh, it's an Uxie. It's not that big a deal. It looks Assault Vest, so no Thunder Waves coming, blah, blah, blah. We can hit with a Shadow Ball, maybe take it out and get it smacked by Iron Tail. And there you go. This never happened, of course, because it was this kind of week. Even the cool sets weren't able to do a bunch of stuff, because I actually think this set's really cool. Uxie didn't get to do much of anything at all. It chipped Gardevoir at one point, and then Lantern with U-turn. It did a little bit of damage here and there. It took a Hyper Voice from Mega Guard, I think, before it ended up, like I said, switching in on Durant, predicting something else, and getting smacked by X-Scissor and dying. That's the way it's got to be. Honestly, it's just... So, number 5 and number 6 this week both were like stretches to be here, honestly. They're both cool, honestly. I like both, I do. But most other weeks, I would say these probably didn't make the list. They're on it just for the pure lack of everything I had going on, especially the Golbat, since I didn't see the field. The Golbat was cool, but it didn't even, you know? So, but yeah, they both make the list because we're struggling. This week's a struggle. It took me a while to come up with this list and to get 6 on there that I liked, but there you go. Number 4 this week. I've lost track of it. Number 4 this week is coming in. It's Gigalith from Wolfie Glick and the Milwaukee Bears. Running that Sandstream ability. He's going up against K-Cray, by the way, and the spiciest draft team, LA Spice. K-Cray. Sandstream, Expert Belt, 252 HP, 252 Special Attack, and Quiet. Right off the bat, that's already interesting. You're already confused as to why you're looking at a Quiet max Special Attack. Gigalith, of course. Quiet's plus Special Attack and minus Speed. Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Stone Edge, Standard, Hidden Power Ice. That's the reason it's on the list this week. That's the reason it is 252 Special Attack, even though it is only running the one singular special move. It is running that max Special Attack and the Quiet. And if you have seen K-Cray battle, you know exactly what Hidden Power Ice is for. It's for her Garchomp. And it makes the list this week not just because it's running Hidden Power Ice, but because Hidden Power Ice killed Garchomp, which was super awesome. You had Gigalith in on the Garchomp. Okay, not fearing much of anything because it's Gigalith. What's it really going to do to you with Earthquake? Big whoop. She went ahead and decided to set up Stealth Rocks. Felt like it was free and got punished with the Hidden Power Ice. The Hidden Power Ice, I think, did around 75-ish%, something like that. At that point, Kay realized it was about over because nothing's going to one-shot Gigalith. Not even Earthquake's one-shotting Gigalith. I think she went for Z Outrage. It was Z Dragon of some kind. I'm not sure if it was Dragon Claw or Outrage. But in any case, she clicked it. It did not do enough. It did a decent chunk of damage to Gigalith, but not enough to kill it. And Gigalith was able to fire back with a second Hidden Power Ice, which then took out the Garchomp. Not every day you see Gigalith defeat a Garchomp 1v1 when they're both at maximum HP. It's pretty rare, and it's even less often that you see a Quiet max Special Attack Gigalith. So, definitely one of the ones that absolutely deserve a spot on the list this week. Not only for the set, but because it was able to do exactly what it was supposed to do in killing the Garchomp. So, good job to Wolfie for that. And thank you for running it. Because I need it this week. Coming in at number 3, I'm pretty sure this is his debut. He was pretty excited to make the list when I told him I had to ask him for the set. He was pretty excited about it. It's going to be Dad Bod. It's Rotom Wash coming in from Old Man Tup and his Pittsburgh Piratas going up against Aaron Cybertron Zang, of course. Levitate, obviously, and then the choice specs is the reason this is cool. For defense, max Special Attack, max Speed, Timid. That's very basic on the spread. Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, Trick, and Defog. And the reason this makes the list this week is because so many people underestimate the offensive power of Rotom in general, but especially Rotom Wash. Because out of all of them, Rotom Wash is really the one that is defensive the most. It's the one you're most likely to see running the Will-O-Wisps and the Thunder Waves and the Pain Splits and things of that nature. And a lot of people don't look at it and see an offensive threat just because of how commonplace it is to see Rotom Wash be defensive. All the Rotoms are defensive quite a bit, especially Heat and Wash more than any of them. Mo and Frost, the fridge one, I think it's Frost is what it's called, are more offensive normally. But still, you don't really look at Rotom Wash and you don't really think it's an offensive powerhouse. You're thinking, oh boy, it's going to status me. Somehow it's going to be annoying. And then it's going to turn out it's going to be a great pivot because of Levitate and its defenses, etc., etc. But Tup went away with all that, shed all of that, and went ahead and just ran this buddy choice specs. And went off pretty quickly this week. Turn 1 was Rotom versus Mamoswine, and Tup started off this game with a phenomenal prediction. Was looking at the Mamoswine, thought to himself, what's Mamo going to do to me? Turns out, actually, Cybertron had a Freeze Dry, which would have been very awkward because he was choice specs and would have been locked into it. But Cybertron knew that was not going to kill and was not looking to take a Hydro Pump, so he played passively. He switched out into Conkeldurr, and a great prediction on Tup's part to predict the switch. Pop that Volt Switch. It did a fat 50% to Conkeldurr right off on turn 1. Volt Switch 50% to the Conkeldurr, which completely threw Cybertron for a loop. He was completely not ready for it. He knew it was Choice Specs right away, of course, because of all that damage. But he was not prepared for it. He did not expect it. There's a good chance he expected it just to click Will-O-Wisp. Because, you know, it's a Rotom. Of course it's going to click Will-O-Wisp on my, my physically offensive mod. I can't click Rocks or whatever. He's clicking Will-O-Wisp here. So I'm going to switch in my Guts Pokemon. Take that. No big whoop. Wrong. Volt Switch 50%. And a great start for Tup on there. Then Rotom was able to come back in later in the game and take out the Mega Slowbro as well with Volt Switch. And that was pretty much the extent of Rotom's time this week. And Tup was able to pick up the win. It was a really good game, and he played very, very well, and this Rotom was super awesome, and definitely a good reason that he was able to pick up the victory, and definitely deserving of a spot on the list. All right. Okay. Number 2. Now, before I get into this, this was tough. I really had to make a decision here. I have 2 Pokemon left. I started out with the one that's number 1 at number 2, and I switched them. And I really had to decide between 2 things. I had to decide between productivity of the Pokemon and actually making use of the reason you make the list. All right, so actually making use of what heat that is on your set. At the end of the day, I decided that this was heat of the week, and that using the cool stuff on the set should take precedent over putting in work, all right? When you didn't get to use it. You'll see what I mean in a second. That's what I decided on, just so you guys know. Number 2 this week is coming in from Vivid. And it is South Texas Sableye going up against Deathly I Am and his Tennessee Trubbish. And it is Poliwrath. And it is also Hawlucha. Alright, just so you know, this really is both of them. I put Poliwrath on here because it's what did the work. But essentially, this spot goes to both of those Pokemon, both the Hawlucha and the Poliwrath. So let's start off with the Poliwrath since it's on screen. It's Swift Swim, Citrus Berry, max HP, 36 attack, 84 defense, 28 special defense, 108 speed. You know, EV spreads everywhere. Jolly Nature, and then it's Belly Drum, Waterfall, Brick Break, and Ice Punch. And Belly Drum would be why it's on the list. Now Belly Drum Wrath isn't super off the wall because that's one of the things that Poliwrath does. He doesn't do a bunch of stuff. But he's definitely known to be a Swift Swim Pokemon, a potential Rain Sweeper, and Belly Drum is absolutely one of the things that he can do. The Hawlucha was Damp Rock and Rain Dance, which is crazy to think about. The reason that Wrath is on it instead of Hawlucha, and Hawlucha is just getting kind of like the mention on the side, is because all Hawlucha did the whole game was literally kick Rain Dance and then die. It Rain Danced in front of a Mega Beedrill, got Poison Jabbed, and then it got poisoned, and then the poison took it out immediately that turn, which is good because it gave Poliwrath more rain turns, but that's all it ever did. The Poliwrath then came in and was able to clean sweep the rest of Deathly's Pokemon to give Vivid the win. And you would have thought I would have wrote down what it beat, and I'm pretty sure I did, and then I must have deleted it. Because, oh, here you go. It beat Tyrantrum, it beat Beedrill, and it beat one other Pokemon. Emboar. That's what it was. Haha! Alright. Good lord, that was bad. I wrote down what it beat before, but I think I deleted it at some point to put in a different explanation. And then I forgot what it was. Yeah, it was able to come in with the rain up and defeat those 3 Pokemon. The Beedrill, obviously, with the rain up, it was faster. The EV spreads and the Jolly was to ensure that it was faster than a max speed Scarf Rotom Mow from Deathly's side, which is not much, but slightly faster than Mega Beedrill. So, of course, he is faster than that. But was faster than him after the Hawlucha went down, was able to kill it with Waterfall. The Tyrantrum came in, he Ice Punched. It didn't quite, or Brick Breaked, actually. It didn't quite kill, but the Tyrantrum, not really understanding, I would imagine, how fast the Wrath really was under Swift Swim. Set up Dragon Dance because I guess he thought he'd be faster at +1. He wasn't. The Wrath was then faster at that. Not that that would have mattered because Tyrantrum isn't one-shotting Poliwrath at any stretch. I would imagine not even Strong Jaw Thunderfang would kill it, unless it paralyzed, obviously. And then the Ambor was the last Pokemon is able to Waterfall out to death, of course. Now, the thing I was talking about before, if you've seen the match, you know, it never clicked Belly Drum. Now, if it would have Belly Drummed at some point and then won the game, I'm pretty sure this was a guaranteed shoe-in #1. But it never actually clicked it. So that is another testament to like how we're working this list this week. Because normally I think this set, even with the 3 kills at the end, I think this set would be more like a #4 or a #5 maybe, just because I like the idea of it, but it didn't do it. It never belly drummed, but we're like stretching this week to the point that I felt like this was good, and this literally was almost #1 this week. So, but never used belly drum. So for that, I put it #2 instead of #1 this week. Over a Pokemon that didn't do as much work for sure, but I still like the idea of it more in terms of it being heat because it actually got to use it. So coming in at #1 this week is going to be Pokey and his Brox Beartix going up against Mr. Talent and Numeric Marauders. This was a good match, and it is his Bronzong. So obviously this is running Levitate. You're never going to see it run Heat Proof pretty much ever. Leftovers, 252 HP, 20 attack, and 236 special attack with that quiet nature, very similar to the Gigalith from before. And it is running Stealth Rocks, Gyro Ball, Psychic, and excuse the typo there, there's no M, but that is supposed to be Charge Beam, as I'm sure you guys have already deciphered. And the reason that it makes the list this week is that Charge Beam, straight up, period. So the Charge Beam was put on him specifically to take on Mr. Talent's Gyarados, and that's exactly what happened. There was a point in the match where it was Bronzong v Gyarados, and honestly, the idea of a Dragon Dancing Gyarados was a little scary to Pokemon, the idea that it could set up and beat him. But Charge Beam was able to stifle that immediately. On the Dragon Dance, he clicked that Charge Beam. Charge Beam did a pretty solid amount of damage. It didn't kill the Gyarados, but it did quite a lot. And it did enough for Psychic to be able to take it out on the next turn after that +1 boost kicked in, of course. The Gyarados set up Dragon Dance, ate the Charge Beam. I think it used Liquidation after that. And Bronzong, having already been shipped earlier in the match, even without like the defensive EVs, only the HP EVs, he was able to take the +1 Liquidation pretty easily. Lived it with pretty solid health and counter back with a Psychic, which was able to take out the Gyarados. And that pretty much secured the win this week for Pokemon. He also was able to kill Lottie with Gyro Ball earlier in the match. Well, of course, that's not a huge deal. This thing walls both Lotties. Gyro Ball's going to do a lot. Of course it is to a Lottie since they're so fast and Bronzong's so slow and he's running quiet, no speed EVs, and he probably was running 0 IVs as well. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure he was probably running 0 IVs. But he literally gets #1 this week just because of the fact he was able to stifle and destroy a potential Dragon Dance Gyarados and lead the way for Pokemon to win the game. So that, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's the list. So, this one was hard. Honestly, this is hard. And I know, trust me, I know this list isn't insane. I know it's not phenomenal. I know that, like, in terms of, like, the straight #1s, Bronzong's not as good as, like, a lot of the other #1s I put on this list. He's not, because most of the other #1s on this list were not only running cool heat sets, they used the cool heat, and then they dominated, like the Aggron, or the Weakness Policy and Polion from all those. I think Talent actually was running that. You know, all those things. Actually went off and did a bunch of work, and the Bronzong only picked up 2 kills the game, which is still good. One of them with Gyro Ball, and one of them on the Gyarados. But that's the way we had to work with this week, guys. It's not always going to be easy. So before you comment, this list is trash, you're stupid, all right? Just remember, I had to work with what I had, with what was given to me, with what people ran. I think for what it's worth, I think this list ended up pretty good. because when I first watched the battles, I was at a loss. Literally, when I watched every single match, after that, I think I had 3 Pokemon. I had the Pyrath or the Hawlucha, I had the Bronzong, and I had the Gigalith, and that was it. I didn't have the Rotom yet, and I didn't have the Uxie, or I certainly didn't have the Golbat, because it didn't do anything, so... But after scouring, looking around, I was able to learn more about the Rotom set and everything. I was able to come up with 6. I think the list ended up pretty good. I apologize that it is a little less optimal than what a lot of the other lists have been, but I worked with what was given to me, and I hope you guys enjoyed it well enough, right? So hopefully next week we get a little bit more. Of course, again, this is nothing about the coaches. They're running what they need to win. That does not always translate to running a bunch of heat. But hopefully next week we have a little better luck, and there's a little more for me personally to work with, all right? But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys for week 8, all right? All right, peace.